So we're getting a lot new clues that we're incorporating in new products, making it more universal, because that's our final goal, to make really universal products.
Sure.
Talking about loudspeakers, the question you asked before, we started with Comsol to do magnetic analysis of cables 6 years ago. Then we found that with the audio design we could also shape a complete room. So we made a lot of different listening rooms, so soft, hard, long, high ceiling, heavily damped, under damped, different positions for the loudspeakers. So we have our environments, a large variation of them, all these models built, and then we start with the ideal loudspeaker and see how it reacts in a room. And because of using this software, we can make now loudspeakers that are to a certain extent less sensitive to room problems. And you hear that, and it gives you a broader audience, because it's now a bigger chance that if the customer uses our loudspeaker, are tested together with another product in his room, there's a bigger chance that he chooses our product.
Sure.
So, yeah.
What percentage of both businesses are now split between cables and non-cable products?
That's still quite small. It's under 10%.
Right.
But it's growing rapidly. They're both growing, so I don't know which one is growing fastest at the moment.
Sure.
I think loudspeaker business is growing faster.
So, is that percentage the case with both companies?
No,
roughly?
we only make a few loudspeakers. We make electronics, so that's what Siltech does. It makes usually limited series.
Yeah.
That's not a principle used by Crystal Cable. They want to sell higher quantities than we do, I guess. But you also have to realize that as the company setup is not made for a very large-scale production, so we will have to stay at the upper end, but still make interesting products that are worth buying. For value for money, even at the higher price range, and that's what we're trying. So, but we have to limit our quantities. We cannot produce 2,000 loudspeakers a year. That would be too much. So I think it will grow steadily in the next 2 years to about 20%, and that will go on.
Sure.
And maybe we have to build another factory for the loudspeakers.
Sure.
But the one stimulates the other. So since we are selling loudspeakers, electronics, you really notice the interest. It makes more noise.
Sure, it's more a complete thing.
The original start for making electronics was actually a different one. It started a long time ago. 10 years ago, when we wanted to demonstrate our technology. So to just demonstrate that, we made a power amplifier, a single-ended monoblock, 100 watts, plus it's extremely reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And we can say that now because these units work now for 10 years, which is quite a lot of hours. Some people keep it on all the time. You have about 8,500 hours in a year, so you can calculate that after 10 years, some of these units have done nearly 100,000 hours. Without defect, some even without replacing the tube. So the tubes don't sound very good anymore after 50,000 hours, but they still work.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're running them very conservatively, yes.
So, yeah, we do. It's a 1500 watts tube, and we used to get out 100 watts Class A.
Sure. Okay. Now, do you think the acceptance or it's going to be inevitable, but computer audio coming into audio playback now, do you think that's going to change things for Siltech and Crystal Cable?
No, not for us. We are quite lucky. It's a strange word in this context. No, we never made DA. Yeah, we did make DA converters a long time ago, but we abandoned that in 1995. So we still have some knowledge from that time, but now is the time to make server-based systems. That's of course the way to go. So we can join the bandwagon quite easily, and we certainly will do that within the next 2 years.
Sure.
And I think it's old-fashioned to use a CD, although today, to be honest, if I test CDs, with very good CD players, it's still better than any streaming that I've heard of. But of course that will change.
Yes.
Some people say exactly the opposite, but if you have a top-notch CD player, you still get the best results with good CDs. But of course that's a matter of time to find out where the jitter starts and where this is coming into the system. So in our case, we love this new development that you have online content that you can use to play music with.
Sure, sure. Okay, we just briefly, you mentioned the new product. Just briefly, what new products can we expect from both Crystal and Siltech?
You explain.
Well, what I explained is actually a very sneak preview, because we are still in a time of developing and researching even how to add the new materials to the Crystal lot.
Well, that's very interesting. We call that the Saga project. Split analog gain amplifier. It consists of a preamplifier, an interstage amplifier, which is something new, and a power amplifier, which is also new. The interstage only amplifies voltage and runs just like the preamp on batteries, about 15 hours uninterrupted, automatic charging. So it's fully disconnected from the main, just like the preamp. The power amplifier is a one-time gain power amp, so it only amplifies current. And that's interesting because you don't get all the typical trouble with phase changes during different loads of loudspeakers. It's completely independent of the load of the loudspeaker. You can drive a short with it. You can draw arcs of 10 centimeter. It only will ruin your cable, but I mean you can use some cheap cable to do that test. And it will output quite a lot of power. So you get about, at lower impedances, you get about 800 watts per channel with extreme low distortion, and all three stages are absolutely without any form of feedback. So it's a new concept in our view, and a very interesting one. So that is the amplifier project, and then we are working on a Siltech loudspeaker, which is a very tall loudspeaker, and it's about 1.80 meters high. It's an open loudspeaker, so a dipole, and one that can move a lot of air, which is very interesting because in a natural way it can move a lot of, and that's also something that we learned from console, where standard resonance principles and Helmholtz start changing into different properties, you could say. So in a room, in a typical living room, I believe that there never was a lot of science in finding out why loudspeakers behave in a certain way in the living room. And we're starting to do that for the last couple of years. And we're learning all kind of new tricks. And the nice thing is we don't just talk about it, we also try to put it in practice.
Apply it.
To apply it, and if customers really love it, if they say it's indeed fantastic sounding, then we know we are on the right track.
Sure.
And that's a very good base to build on.
Right. Well, those products, will we be seeing those products here in Australia?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Now, how is Australia placed within the Siltech and Crystal Cable, market?
It's a new market for us, actually.
Right.
Yeah, we never were really well represented in this country. In the case of Siltech, it has been represented before by, I think, a very small distributor that did it as a, as a sideline, apart from his daytime job. Of course, those are things you don't know when you're so far away.
Sure.
Yeah. But there are a lot of these people who are really enthusiastic and they like to sell it. You need, of course, some professional distributor that's able to distribute it, because it's a big country.
Yes.
And just traveling to a dealer in the north can cost you 4 hours of flying, and going to the west is about the same, I guess.
It's 6 hours.
Yes. So the investment for a distributor is quite a bit. He really has to believe in the product before really putting money in it. And
have a good dealer.
And as we have a very good distributor now, they are building. They are selling really, really good and surprised us, and they are growing very fast.
Terrific.
So it's a wonderful company, and they started 2 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And really building a
Increases
market,
very
so
nicely.
which is very good for us, because before people had to learn about our products from foreign magazines, but it's very nice to have it.
A local
yes.
distribution.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, Gabi and Edwin van der Kleij, thank you very much.